Good morning, students. I am Kamal Nath and I welcome you all in my class of English. Students, you know your exam is at hand and you all are very curious, very excited to face the exam. So, you all know that you have completed the portion, and through this first video, I am going to explain and revise some of the exercises, concept of that chapter, objectives, question answers of some of the chapters. So, I welcome you all and I am sure you all will enjoy this revision and you all will learn a lot through this video. So, students, let me start from the chapter that is Wandering Singers. Wandering Singers, which is here composed by Sarojini Naidu. You have already read, the poem is already explained, even its exercises also. So, let us take a review once more, its exercises. As you know, understanding the poem here provides you several questions to learn, through which you know the concept of whole poem. Here you have some questions, some important questions. Answer these questions. First one, which line tells you that the singer sing as they travel? The answer of this question will be the line in the poem, with lutes in our hands, ever singing we roam, tells that the singers sing while they travel. The question was, which line tells you that the singers sing as they travel? So, the line that I have taken is under quotation mark here from the poem. The line in the poem, that is, with lutes in our hands, ever singing we roam. This line tells that the singers sing while they travel. The wandering singers have no permanent homes and families. Do they show any sadness about it? The second question is here. The wandering singers have no permanent homes and families. Do they show any sadness about it? Or do they have a different notion of family and home? Here, students, notion means opinion. What is their opinion about family or home? Is there any other opinion? That is notion. The answer that you can give is, the wandering singers do not express any sadness, for they have no permanent homes. For they think whole world as their family and all humankind as their relatives or friends. They don't have any permanent house. So, whole world is their family and they love every human beings. So, all humankind is their relatives or friends. That's why they don't express any sadness, that they don't have any permanent homes. Like that, let us see next question, third one. What do the wandering singers sing about? Means, what is the content of the song of the wandering singers? And what might their listeners get from their songs in terms of knowledge? What the listeners are getting in terms of knowledge and in terms of mood. The wandering singers, first let us answer the first part. What do the wandering singers sing about? The wandering singers sing about the past battle, the bravery and courage of the soldiers, the glorious deeds of kings, the laughter and beauty of women who are dead, who are no more now. They sing about the old cities which glory, brightness and splendor is no more now. They wander singing from one place to another, giving message of love and brotherhood. In terms of knowledge, the listeners get the knowledge about the past battles, glorious cities and brotherhood. This is what here the knowledge they get from the singers, from the song. The mood that the listeners form after listening this one, after reciting the poem, is the admiration, excitement, happiness, sadness, etc. Let us proceed to the next question. Why do wandering singers not wait anywhere? Why do they keep traveling? Question is, why do wandering singers not wait anywhere? Why do they keep traveling? The wandering singers have no permanent home, so they are not emotionally attached with any people or any place. So they do not wait anywhere. They are not attached emotionally with any particular place or any particular person. And that's why they just keep wandering. They do not wait anywhere. They keep traveling because they have to give the message of love and brotherhood everywhere. Let us see now some more questions that is here from other topic, that is appreciating the poem. That was understanding the poem we have discussed. Some questions let us see here. Appreciating the poem. In what person has this poem been written? First, second or third person? Or that is in singular or plural? So answer of this question will be, this poem has been written in first person plural. First person plural number. As you know that everywhere in the poem, the singers are telling here we, our, we, us, etc. So the poem has been written in first person plural. Why do you think the speaker uses the words wander and roam? Everywhere, most of the time you can see repeatedly these words are used, and not the word march and stride. Let us see here the answer. What is the reason that the singers only use wander and roam, not the words like march and stride? Because they are quite similar, a little bit similar. But there is difference. What is difference? Let us see. Both the words like wander and roam refer to an aimless pursuit in life. Means we have no just aim, no purpose. We are just moving and going aimlessly. While the words march and stride refer towards a fixed goal or destination. These words march and stride refer for a fixed goal or a fixed destination. Next question is, what is the rhyme scheme of this poem? Try to read the poem aloud. Does it sound like a song? There are several parts of the question. The rhyme scheme of this poem is AA or BB. As you can see here, the first two lines have the last words rhyming words. Rhyming words. Again, next two lines are rhyming words. So like this here, the last words are rhymings. Two words. Last here, two lines. That's why the rhyming scheme can be called AA and BB. It does look like a song when read aloud. When it is read aloud, then it looks like a song. Let us see now here some more here from other here chapters. Homesickness, other chapter that you have read, interesting story of homesickness. That is in grammar and uses. Grammar and uses, that is here participle adjectives. What are participle adjectives? Participle adjectives, the verb, the form of verb, that is past participle or present participle form of verb, when used in a sentence in such a way that it works like an adjective. When these participles are used as an adjectives, they work as an adjective in the sentence, they are called participle adjectives. They are called participle adjectives. I was frightened by a barking dog. I was frightened by a barking dog. Here you see, barking dog. Bark is a verb, and when ing here added in the last, it becomes here present participle. Barking. And when before noun, that is dog, used barking dog, here barking is here adjective which is qualifying dog. What kind of dog? Barking at that state. That's why barking is not verb, barking is here adjective, and that is called participle adjective. So you have here exercise A to use the same. The words that is given in the bracket we have to use in the bracket here in the blank. Complete these sentences with the correct forms of the base verbs in the brackets. Here in the bracket verb I have not given here. You can see in the blank I have filled here with the correct form of participle. Correct participle form is here given. You can take help and you can understand. We must learn to look for the hidden meaning in the poems. The word that is given in the book is hide. From hide it is here hidden, participle form hidden. That is here past participle form hidden. Hide, hid, hidden. Hidden is here working like an adjective, not here as a verb, as an adjective, and so it is called participle adjective. Second question is, it is, then was dash, and verb that was given base form was surprise. So from surprise there will be, it is surprising. It is surprising that grandpa came to watch my play. Surprising you here working like as adjective, as an adjective. The horror film we watched last night was so frightening. Here what was frightening? The film was frightening. So frightening is here the participle adjective. The students who are interested can sign up for the quiz club. From interest, from the base verb interest, the participle is here made interested. That is here past participle form interested. Fifth one is, he was very, dash was there, the verb was relax. Relax. From relax verb, base verb we have made here past participle form, that is relaxed, and that is working as an adjective in the sentence here. He was very relaxed after the interview ended. She told me such an exciting story yesterday. Here from excite verb we have to make it past present participle exciting, and that is what here using as an adjective. It is qualifying the noun a story in the sentence. Before a story, this is here qualifying word exciting. Exciting story. What kind of a story? Exciting story. So let us see here, students. Some more here are here from the same here chapter. That is here relative clause to underline in the sentence. What are relative clause? What are noun and what are noun phrase? Noun is when the subject is single, one name, one here, noun, then only just will be noun. If there are more than one word group, in the group that is here, then that is called noun phrase. That becomes noun phrase. So you see here the exercise. I want you to meet the person who planted all the trees on this road. I want to meet the person who planted all the trees on this road. Here, what is noun phrase? The person. The person is noun phrase. And the relative clause in this sentence is who planted all the trees on this road. That is a relative clause. Second one, this is the shop that is known for selling good spices. This is the shop that is known for selling good spices. Here the noun phrase is the shop. The shop is noun phrase, and relative clause is that is known for selling good spices. Third one is everybody respects Gomti, who works hard to support a large family. Noun is here Gomti, because it is here single name, single word noun, that is here noun Gomti. And relative clause in this sentence is who works hard to support a large family. So this was what here. Next one you see, fourth question. Fourth, people who lose their passports must inform the police at once. Noun in this sentence is people and relative clauses who lose their passports. Who lose their passports. That is relative clause. Sentence, that is her fifth one. The town has a large park where there is a beautiful greenhouse. What is noun phrase? Here is noun phrase in this sentence, a large park. The town has a large park. A large park is here noun phrase where there is a beautiful greenhouse. So that is a relative clause. Where there is a beautiful greenhouse is relative clause. Next is sixth one. The famous author who has won the Nobel Prize is going to speak at the meeting. Noun phrase is the famous author. The famous author is noun phrase, and relative clause in this sentence is who has won the Nobel Prize. Who has won the Nobel Prize. So in this way, students, you have seen here some of the important exercises of the chapters, question answers, objectives, and I am sure that you must have enjoyed, you must have understood, and you must have benefited. So please keep practicing every type of questions, all sorts of questions. Go through whole chapter. In fact, from every line there may be questions. Any line may become the part of question. So don't neglect or ignore anything. Do practice every part of the chapter, all exercises that we are discussing, we are sending you in the homework here and in the PDF form. So please note down them, learn them, and no doubt stay fit and keep yourself safe. Thank you, students, joining the class. Thank you.